Okay, hello everyone out there. I'm Billy D. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you probably know me as Investment in Fun. What I want to talk about and do for YouTube is a pretty in depth beginner's guide to toy photography, action figure photography, whatever you want to call it. Now, there's a lot of how to's, a lot of tutorials, but I want to start like at the beginning and just go through everything in a little series. And I'm not a professional. I don't get paid to do this. I have got paid for prints. I sell them here in my store, but I don't consider myself a professional. There's a lot better people out there than me. I only started 2 months ago, but through watching videos and a lot of trial and error, I feel like I've picked up the basics enough to start a little series, so I can pass on what I learn and hopefully speed you guys up a little bit on working on it and getting better. So when people say like what's the first thing you need to know about action figure photography, a lot of people immediately jump to, well, what kind of camera do you use? Can I use my phone? What kind of lens? I'm gonna go before that. I'm gonna say, if you're gonna do action figure photography, the very first thing you need are action figures. And now that sounds kind of simple, like, oh, you go to the store and buy an action figure, but there's actually a lot to it, and like a lot of thinking about what you want to do. And let me get started, show off some figures, and I'll show you what I mean. Especially, like I said, if you're on a tight budget, you're really going to want to think about what you're buying. So, as we got here, now this is the Spin Masters DC line they've been doing. They do Batman, they do Justice League, a lot. They do a ton of characters. So this is your basic, $10 action figure. This is what would have been $5 back in the 80s, like G.I. Joe style. It's a 3.75 inch, which is cool because it's going to scale to a lot of other stuff you have. The new Halo line is this scale. Obviously the G.I. Joe retro figures are this scale. So you'll be able to find a lot of figures, and Spin Masters has put out like a ton of DC, much more than the McFarlane toys. Like, there's almost every character that you could possibly want affiliated with Batman or Justice League in these Spin Master lines. So obviously, if you get a $10 figure, you're gonna have like almost a guarantee every figure is going to have a paint defect. It's not going to look great, but what it is cheap. So I've never really messed with the 3.75s except for the Halo, which I think look good. And I think these can look really good, but there's definitely a ceiling on how good a $10 figure can look. Now, if you bump it up to $20, and I just brought some stuff with me. I don't have a example of every kind of figure, but obviously when you go up to $20, you're looking at Black Series, Marvel Legends, the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures, and to me, the $20 action figure is really the wheelhouse. It's everything that you're gonna want to use. To me, now people use a lot more expensive stuff. People use cheaper stuff, but this for me is it, because you can generally go to Walmart, Target, wherever you shop, and you can find a $20 action figure. Now, if you say, oh, I need a Constantine figure or something, good chance you're not going to be able to find it. You're going to have to order it, and it's probably going to be $30 or $40, if it's made. But you will have options if you go to the store. When you get a $20 figure, you're getting a lot more articulation. Like, I think the McFarlane on every box says 22 points of articulation. You're going to get swappable heads. You're going to get accessories. You're going to get weapons. You're going to get all that. And I think it's a good buy. Now, one thing you want to think about when you're on a budget is, like, how much can I use this figure I'm buying? Like, okay, so I got this tech here, good example, and I also have Koska Reeves from The Mandalorian here. I just picked these up at Walmart this morning. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not really on a budget. I own this store, and say I want to use these, which I do, I can take a photo and then, package it in our own packaging. Say I paid 20, I can sell it used for 12, 15, whatever. So I'm not really losing that much money. But if I was just like a younger person getting into this, I'd really have to think about these two, especially this one, because I mean, how many pictures are you going to take of this? And I've definitely thought, like, oh, I need a Constantine or something, and then I think to myself, but how much am I really going to use it? At least if you stick to the actual Mandalorian or Boba Fett or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Batman, especially Batman, there's an infinite amount of stuff that you can do with those. So I would say get your Batman, get your Spider-Man, get your Superman, get all those. And then if you're really liking the hobby, get your Luke Skywalker, get your Stormtroopers and Vader. And then if you like it, then you go pick up Koska Reeves if you have a scene you want to do with her. But so that's your $20 figure. Again, I have another $10 here. It's just a Batman, but once again, like this $10 Batman, you combine him with Deathstroke. Now you have a bunch of scenes you can do, and you can go and they have Batgirl, Riddler, Nightwing, Joker. There's a lot you can do. Now, you do give up a lot of articulation with these guys. You're only going to get shoulders, elbows, head, knees, and legs, but there's no ankle, there's no wrist. But for starting out, these are good. Also, at the $20 range, you got the I forget what it says, Voyager class Transformers. I mean, once again, there's a lot you can do with this figure. So yeah, this is actually Tigatron. I didn't follow Beast Wars. I did watch the new show, but I don't remember Tigatron. So, like, once again, it's kind of a niche figure, but still cool. And then the only other things I have this is a Diamond Select figure. Once again, this is in the $20 to $30 range. You're going to get a lot of articulation and enough detail to really show this figure off and do a lot with it. This is, I think, a DC Direct Azrael. It's a little bit older, but once again, this figure is $20, $30, and it has a lot of articulation. Now, with the $20 figures, you are going to see more detail, but unfortunately, also what you're going to see is a lot of the joints. Let me see if I can get that in there. Now, I like to Photoshop these. A lot of people just leave them and they think Photoshopping's bad, but to me, these joint marks are ugly, and I like to hide them. But that's the nice thing about these $20 figures is you can hide them. Now, if you want to go up to like $30, you can go to like 30 to 50 is these like Super 7 figures, which once again, you're getting more detail and more articulation in them. And then I don't have any Mafex figures, but if you want to spend $120, you can go Mafex. The only problem with Mafex is they're made a little bit smaller, so they're not going to scale to your McFarlane Justice League figures, which kind of sucks. But they're really nice figures. Above Mafex, you have Hot Toys, obviously. Now, I don't own a Hot Toy. I probably never will own a Hot Toy because I just think a couple $100 for an action figure is out of my price range. Like, I don't want to say it's crazy. If I had a Hot Toy and I wanted to display it, that would be one thing. But I don't think for action figure photography, Hot Toys are really necessary. Now, another thing you want to consider, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this in forums and chats and lives and stuff, is it depending on what kind of figure photography you want to do. You can do diorama photography, you can do stuff outside, you can do anything, and that's why it's a cool hobby. But if you're going to start doing stuff with smoke bombs, with fireworks, with water, then you really need to think, like, can I afford to damage this figure? Like, not afford to, but is that something you want to do? Now, these guys, I think, no matter what budget you're on, you're not going to freak out if you scar this guy up with a firecracker. No big deal. Now, your $20 figures, I don't even mind messing these guys up a little bit because it adds like a cool battle damage effect to it, and I don't see that as being bad either. Now, when you go up to your 30, 50, and above figures, those are really like display case figures. You have to think, like, man, if I stain this with a smoke bomb, the figure is like not worthless, but pretty close, right? So you really want to think about that when you order a figure, and you want to think about how they scale to each other. I think Diamond Selects are 7-inch, so they'll actually scale good with the McFarlane toys. Yeah, they're good. And then this DC Direct Azrael, I think, is like a Marvel Legends scale, and it's about 6 inches. Now, with figure photography, you can obviously mess with the perspective. Yeah, he's like noticeably smaller, and it's not as big of a deal as you think it might be. If something's a little smaller, you can hide it, but it's also something you want to think about. Like, when you go to order this Azrael, like, for whatever scene you have in mind, is it gonna work? Am I gonna be able to hide that scale? I'm gonna say these DC Direct figures are really nice. Like, they do have the little joint marks and molds and stuff, but overall they're a nice looking figure. But there's a lot to think about when you order your figures or you just go shopping for them. But one thing is, like, if you're taking your figure and you're putting it to any kind of elements, fire, whatever, there's a really good chance your figure is not going to be in mint condition. Like, I just even like when you when you go to pose them and you put them on a wire, you have to put that wire in here somewhere. And like, I damaged one of my Diamond Select Venoms the other day. Not bad. It just put like a pinhole in it. But that's the stuff that you have to think about. So there's a lot to the figures that you use, and I think that there's more thought to go into what figures you want to use than most people think about. Like, it's so crazy now with availability. Like, we got the scalpers. You got to think, like, if I buy this Batman because I want to do a scene with the Joker from Three Jokers, am I going to be able to get that Joker down the road? It's all stuff to think about. And I want to do the next one. I want to do is about the camera, like what camera you should use, and should you use your phone. But the nice thing about the $20 line is you can you can easily hide that this is a $20 figure. Like, and I think this for me is my personal wheelhouse. The $20 figure, and I like to make it look as real as possible. Like, I don't want to hide the fact that this is a toy. Like, I want people to know it's a toy, but I also want people to look at it and say, like, damn, that's a toy. Like, that's what I'm going for. And everyone goes for their own thing. You can very easily go for these $10 figures and just make yourself a fun scene. Like, what the reason I got into action figure photography is I like to write. I think I'm a fairly decent writer, but my actual art skill is like maybe a 6 out of 10 at best, and it takes me a lot longer to draw up a sketch than it does people who are good at it. I'm nowhere near good at it. So for me, it allows me to tell a story using this this art that already exists, and that's cool. So that's why I like the $20 figures. Like, I can, once you get good at your lighting, which is also something I'm going to discuss, you can hide the fact that this is a really cheap action figure. But if anyone has like any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I don't I don't own a lot of figures that are over $20. I do own statues. I'm familiar with Mafex. I'm familiar with Hot Toys. We've had all that stuff in my store. The WWE Elites, I know a lot about, the Ultimate Editions. But, you know, anything you want to ask, I'm always more than happy to answer, because I think this is a good hobby, and it's like the evolution of action figure collecting. Like, when I was growing up, all the old toys, if you had them in the package, they were worth so much money. So people, hoarded those first Spawn figures, kept them in the package thinking like, oh, these are going to be worth a fortune. And they're really not, because, everyone kept them in the package. So today, it gives people a reason, I think, to take their stuff out of the package, to enjoy your investment a lot more than like, oh, I bought this figure, like my Superman Doomsday, I'm going to keep it in the box. I mean, yeah, they give you a nice window nowadays to look through, and it's cool, but a lot of people are getting into photography because it's like an interactive way to collect action figures. So I think that's awesome. If you want to know anything, just ask. I'm always around. If you're on Instagram, investment_in_fun, and TikTok's the same, at investment_in_fun. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time when I talk about like cameras and phones and things. So see you later.